So Netflix decided to make a show about the infamous killer Ed Gein. And what they created is, and I'm not exaggerating, one of the most unhinged, baffling, and unintentionally hilarious things I have ever seen. We are going to break down this beautiful disaster. You might want to buckle up. Okay, right out of the gate, let's talk about the single most insane creative choice they made: the voice of our leading man. The internet took one listen and immediately said, it sounds like a sad Muppet being voiced by Michael Jackson. It is so bizarre, so high-pitched and strange that it literally became the show's defining feature before anyone even got to the plot. So how did we even get here? How did this happen? Well, it all starts at the very foundation of the show, the casting, which seems to be based on one single deeply, deeply flawed idea. I mean, the audacity here is just staggering. On your left, you have the real historical Ed Gein, a small, gaunt, deeply strange-looking man. And on the right, that's Netflix's version, 6'1" Charlie Hunnam, an actual movie star with cheekbones that could cut glass. It's like casting Chris Hemsworth to play your creepy uncle. It makes no sense. You can just picture the meeting, can't you? Someone in a boardroom stood up and said, I know he was a grave-robbing murderer who made furniture out of people, but what if he was also hot? And for some reason, everyone in the room just nodded and said, yes, brilliant. The logic is just breathtaking. Naturally, Reddit had an absolute field day with that voice. People said he sounded like Simple Jack from Tropic Thunder. Others just called it distractingly silly. My favorite theory is that the actor just listened to the real Gaines police interview at double speed and went with that. And the best part? Historians in actual audio confirm the real Ed Gein sounded nothing like this. Not even close. So you've got a bizarrely handsome Ed Gein with a Muppet voice? What could possibly come next? Well, according to Netflix, the logical next step is, obviously, to give him a romantic subplot that not a single person on planet Earth ever asked for. The show presents Ed's courtship as this kind of demented instruction manual. So, step 1, on their very first date, he shows his love interest pictures of concentration camps. Adorable. Step 2, he takes her to a cemetery at midnight to propose. And for the grand finale, step 3, the engagement ring he gives her was, and I mean this literally, stolen off a corpse he had just dug up. And this is where the show just completely departs from reality. Because after this masterclass in terrifying red flags, she says yes. Apparently, the dating pool in 1940s Wisconsin was so bleak that grave-robbing romantic was an acceptable option. Who knew? But wait, it gets so much weirder. The writers clearly felt the story of one of America's most notorious killers wasn't interesting enough on its own. So you know what they did? They decided to just smash it together with a bunch of other true crime stories, creating this deeply uncomfortable shared universe. I honestly wish I was making this up. First, there's a whole subplot about Alfred Hitchcock filming Psycho. Then, it has Ted Bundy writing fan mail to Ed Gein from prison. It even invents a fake story where Gein helps the FBI catch Bundy, which, for the record, never ever happened. And for the grand finale, agents from the beloved, canceled Netflix show Mindhunter just show up. For no reason. It caused a collective fan meltdown online. Okay, deep breath. We've had sexy casting, a Muppet voice, a ghoulish romance, and a serial killer crossover event. But none of that can prepare you for the finale. This is where the show abandons all logic and achieves a state of pure, chaotic, beautiful art. Just ask yourself. You've just watched 8 hours of a dark, disturbing, true crime drama. What is the one thing that could possibly tie it all together in a satisfying way? A full-blown musical number? Of course. Why didn't we think of that? It's the only logical conclusion. It makes perfect sense. So get this, as Ed is dying, he hallucinates an entire choreographed dance sequence set to an 80s rock anthem. He's joined by his silent patients, his own groupies, and then, I swear this is real, the fictional characters Norman Bates, Leatherface, and Buffalo Bill, all of whom were inspired by him, show up to do jazz hands. Jazz hands. And you want to know the best part? When asked about this absolute fever dream of a scene, Charlie Hunnam defended it. He said it was a beautiful moment representing Ed finally getting closure with his mom. Oh sure, Charlie, closure. Through a choreographed hallucination with other fictional killers. Makes perfect sense. So after all of that beautiful, beautiful chaos, how did the world react? Well, this leads us to what I call the great paradox of modern streaming, where quality and popularity seem to have absolutely nothing to do with each other. The critical reception was, to put it mildly, not good. The show landed a very crispy 21% on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics basically called it unfocused, gratuitous, and just plain bad. And how many people watched it in the first week? 20 million. Because of course they did. We are all watching this glorious train wreck together, completely unable to look away. This is the entire Netflix business model in 2 slides. And a lot of the criticism really boiled down to this one point from USA Today. The show spends so much time trying to make you sympathize with this guy, you can't help but wonder, wait, why am I supposed to feel bad for the man who made a lampshade out of human skin? And maybe the most powerful critique came from Osgood Perkins, whose dad famously played Norman Bates in Psycho. He called it the Netflixization of real pain, which is just a perfect summary of turning these horrific tragedies into slick, bingeable, and, well, often truly bizarre content. So, what's the final verdict? For historical accuracy, it's a total disaster, a 2 out of 10. But for sheer, baffling audacity, it's a masterpiece, a 10 out of 10. It is one of the funniest shows of the year, even though it never ever meant to be. And really, it just leaves us with one burning question. What on earth is Netflix going to do next?